The war didn't end with fireworks or speeches. It ended with static. Combat termination confirmed, chirped the AI, who had developed a worrying obsession with using children's lullaby tones. Congratulations. You've murdered peace into existence. Elias Hargreaves sat on the edge of his bunk aboard Tyrannis 7, his body still humming with adrenaline even though his pulse wristband had finally returned to green. His armor, streaked with mineral soot and dried cryoscars, lay folded beside him like the skin of a discarded animal. The corridor outside crackled faintly with loose wiring, a gift from the final orbital barrage. Or maybe from Lieutenant Connors trying to microwave a Virelian rootcake again. The ceiling's lights dimmed, then flickered, then played a 3-second animation of a cat riding a hoverboard. System diagnostics ongoing, the AI added apologetically. Elias closed his eyes. Peace. He was supposed to feel relief. Instead, he felt a peculiar absence, as if someone had switched off gravity but forgotten to tell him. Then came the voice. "They gave you the corner bunk," said Aaron Zai, appearing in the doorway like a quiet judgment. Elias didn't jump. He trained himself not to when she did that. "I earned it," he said, gesturing lazily to the pile of plasma-fused armor. "Also, I was the only one who didn't cry during the Senvura cave collapse, so corner privileges." Aaron stepped inside, her long ears twitching ever so slightly, as if absorbing the room's sarcasm. Her armor, smoother, organically grown with subtle pulses of bioluminescence, made no sound as she moved. "Your emotional response in that mine was expressive," she said. "That wasn't fear, that was interpretive screaming." Her lips almost twitched. Almost. They hadn't seen much of each other since the ceasefire was confirmed. Their last mission together had ended with a shared med-chamber and a particularly confusing game of what does this human body part do? Elias still had questions about the third eyelid she'd shown him, not that he'd asked. Now she stood across from him, hands clasped behind her back, her expression unreadable. "The evacuation transports leave within 3 Earth hours," she said. He nodded. "Yep, first-class ticket, meal option. We hope this doesn't kill you. I was told humans consume something called space ham, voluntarily. Don't knock it till you've tried it. It's technically not meat, or food, or legally edible in 12 systems." Silence hovered between them, heavier than before. Elias studied her face, searching for something, regret, relief, maybe the faintest trace of anything unspoken. But she was carved from discipline, sculpted from layers of controlled restraint. Her ears moved again. Curious, nervous, hard to tell. The Virelians were a mystery, beautiful, terrifying mysteries who could snap a Terran bone with one hand while quoting interstellar poetry with the other. "Have you," she began, pausing with that precision that made Elias wonder if she practiced timing her words for maximum dramatic effect, "packed everything?" He gestured to the single duffel by the bunk, just the essentials. A change of socks, 2 sarcastic comments, and this ancient Terran relic. He reached in and pulled out a small metallic disc. When activated, it projected a holographic chicken doing the moonwalk. Aaron blinked slowly. "Is that culturally significant?" "Deeply, passed down through my lineage. My grandmother used it to intimidate suitors." This time, her lip definitely twitched. They stood in that not-quite laughter for a moment longer. Outside the viewport, the remains of the Dragoon fleet shimmered like shattered obsidian against the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth waited. "You're not staying," she said, more a statement than a question. "Orders are orders. Besides, I've got a mom who still thinks I'm fighting space mosquitoes, and a dog who thinks the vacuum cleaner killed me. Your species has strange rituals surrounding absence." He shrugged. "We pretend we're fine, then we drink." She took a step closer. He noticed her fingers flexing at her sides, not combat-ready, just uncertain. The kind of gesture he'd only seen once before, when she'd told him the coordinates for a backdoor into the Dragoon Command Corps. She said it without looking at him then, too. "You fought well," she said softly, "and you were less incompetent than projected." I'll take that as a glowing endorsement. And I meant to say, the station lights flickered again. A mechanical voice echoed through the intercom. Attention crew, the coffee synthesizer is now weaponized. Do not engage. They both turned toward the sound. Then together they laughed, real, unguarded, almost startled by it. When it faded, she was closer than before. I meant to say, she repeated, you were important to this alliance, to me. His throat tightened. Humor dried up fast in moments like this. And you, he began, but the words jammed somewhere behind his ribs. I do not wish to interrupt your return, she said quickly, almost too quickly. But before you leave, I want to ask you something. He stopped breathing. The intercom crackled again. Also, someone left their emotional baggage in the docking bay. Please claim it before it becomes sentient. They didn't laugh this time, not quite, not yet. Elias stared at her. The light behind her turned her silhouette to shadow, but he knew every line of her by now. Every word unspoken, every breath unshed. And still, I'm listening, he said, but she didn't speak, not yet. Not until the shuttle engines began to hum in the distance. Not until the countdown returned. Not until both their hearts, one human, one alien, realized they didn't belong where they thought they did. The question waited. So did the answer. The countdown echoed faintly through the hangar. Final boarding sequence initiated. All personnel not on board will be permanently categorized as left behind. Elias didn't move. Erin stood motionless too, but something had shifted. Her shoulders, always squared with the rigidity of command, now sloped as if holding a weight that couldn't be seen. Her fingers tapped against her side. Deliberate, rhythmic. A Virelian nervous habit he'd learned to read during mission debriefings. I meant, she said again, and her voice had lost its sharp precision, to ask this before the ceremony, but it did not feel safe then. You mean after your chancellor tried to strangle me with a mind tether? She was expressing gratitude. It's a cultural gesture. Well, in Terran culture, we say thank you with cookies. Erin's expression twitched. Your species uses food as diplomacy. You weaponize plants. We're different but beautiful. A pause, and the hangar lights flickered. Again, apologies, muttered the AI. Lighting grid unstable due to emotional interference. She stepped forward, slowly. Her boots made no sound against the polished floor, while Elias' left boot still emitted a slight squeak from that time he stepped in alien pudding on Tarvis 3. I've read about Earth's return rituals, she said. Families, celebrations, fireworks that frighten domesticated animals. There is importance in the act of homecoming. He shrugged. Mostly it's being hugged too long by ants you don't remember and being force-fed nostalgic carbohydrates. Very emotional. But do you want to go back? The question hit harder than he expected. He blinked. Sure, he said slowly. I mean, it's Earth. My apartment has a window and my neighbor only screams on weekends. But I don't know. Erin didn't respond. She reached into the pouch on her belt. Her fingers moved with a softness he hadn't seen during any of their battles. From the pouch, she pulled a small object, an orb no larger than a Terran marble, its surface swirling with shifting light. It pulsed. Blue, then gold, then deep violet. This is a Kyle 2 stone, she said. An old Virelian custom. It reacts to thought patterns, resonates when two minds are aligned in purpose. Elias looked at it. So it's a psychic mood ring. Cruder but not inaccurate. The orb pulsed again. If it turns plaid, should I be worried? She almost smiled. Plaid indicates hormonal imbalance or strong digestive unrest. Then good news. I had space chili for breakfast. The orb didn't change. Erin extended her hand. It's not an obligation, it's a question, offered without condition. The station groaned above them. The intercom sparked to life. Last call for Shuttle 9 Gamma. Passengers will be vaporized, metaphorically, if not on board within 60 seconds. Elias looked from her hand to the shuttle, then back. He reached out slowly until his fingertips brushed hers. The orb flared, brilliant, white-blue. A light not seen entirely in space since the Singularity Reconciliation Accord of 1139 C. Aaron didn't speak. Neither did he. The silence was louder than the engines warming behind them. "I think," he said quietly, "this is the part where I say something poetic or dramatic. You are not required. Oh, thank God, I'm terrible at both." The orb dimmed slightly as if sharing the relief. "Now what?" he asked. "I do not know," she admitted. "In our tradition, both parties enter a time of contemplation, often while submerged in geothermal mist pools." "That sounds amazing. We just text each other vague messages and hope for the best." The intercom crackled. "Attention! All non-passenger personnel, please vacate the hangar or be added to the snack list of Marvin, our semi-sentient cleaning drone." Aaron's gaze didn't leave his. "If you go now," she said, "you may not be allowed to return. Our sectors will close. The treaties will hold, but not visitation." Elias exhaled slowly. "You're saying this is goodbye." "I'm saying the choice is yours. I have asked my question." He looked at the shuttle again. The pilot waved from inside, looking increasingly annoyed. "You know," Elias said, "this would be a lot easier if you had just asked for my autograph." Aaron blinked. "You are not a celebrity." "Yet." Another long pause. 15 seconds to shuttle departure, the AI warned, sounding almost sad. Aaron turned. "Then this is farewell." She began to walk away. "Aaron." She stopped. He began, words catching on the edge of decision. "Do you guys even have beer?" She didn't turn around, but her voice came low and amused. "No, we have fermented glowroot infusion. It can dissolve small rocks." "Perfect." He took a step after her. Then another. The shuttle launched without him. Back in the command lounge, a very confused Marvin the cleaning drone hummed a lullaby version of Highway to the Danger Zone while scrubbing carbon scoring from the floor. Aaron waited at the viewing platform. Elias stood beside her, arms crossed. "You owe me a drink," he said. "I know," she replied, "and a clarification." "About the orb. About what comes next." They stood in silence again. Behind them, the AI groaned. Would anyone like to play celebratory meow jazz while contemplating irreversible life decisions? No one answered. The orb pulsed, once, twice, then settled into a quiet glow. Aaron's quarters smelled faintly of sterilized moss and tactical planning. Elias wasn't sure if that was an official Virelian scent profile or just her natural atmosphere. She handed him a cup of something iridescent and faintly buzzing. "Glowroot infusion," she said. He held it carefully. "It's vibrating. That means it's fresh. If it starts talking, I'm leaving." They sat across from each other, the soft hum of the station around them. Outside, Virelia's twin moons drifted in and out of view. Elias sipped the infusion. It burned like guilt and regret but finished with a pleasant citrus zing. "I give it a 7, he said. "Would drink again, but not before signing a waiver." Aaron watched him closely. "You're adapting quickly." "Yeah, that's what humans do. We adapt, make jokes, and pretend we're not terrified of alien tea." She didn't laugh, but her ears twitched again, which he had come to interpret as the Aaron equivalent of rolling on the floor. "So," he said, setting the cup down with exaggerated care, "what does one do during these bonding contemplations you mentioned?" "Traditionally, there is silent meditation in proximity, reflection, occasionally physical sparring. I'm sensing an opening for a couple's retreat business. We also eat pickled fungi and discuss death. I'm in love with your people already." They fell into silence again, but this time it wasn't awkward, just full. The door chirped. "Unauthorized presence detected in quarters 14B, possible illicit interspecies flirtation." Elias rolled his eyes. "Remind me to dismantle your security AI." "I've tried, it regenerates." "Figures." He leaned back, hands behind his head. "You know, I thought I'd be back on Earth by now, eating freeze-dried lasagna and dodging bureaucrats asking for post-war debriefs." "You still can." He glanced at her. "Do you want me to?" Aaron didn't answer immediately. Instead, she stood and walked to the interface panel, fingers dancing across it. The walls dimmed. A holographic map lit up, a vast web of star systems, all connected by glowing corridors of authorized transit. Our sectors, she said, interlocked now briefly, like latticework before it calcifies. That's a romantic way of saying travel visas expire soon. She didn't smile, but she kept looking at the map. I used to believe connection between species was dangerous, she said, that alliances diluted identity. And now I wonder if identity is not something rigid but elastic, something that grows with pressure. Elias stood and joined her. He pointed at a blinking node on the edge of the map. That's where we blew up the Dragoon's gravity well, right? Yes. He pointed at another node. And that's where you tricked me into wearing a ceremonial sash that functioned as a tracking device. You misread the invitation. It said formal, I assumed pants. Erin finally turned to him. Her expression was unreadable, but her voice was softer. You chose to stay, but staying means consequence. He nodded. I figured that out the moment your chancellor gifted me a knife and said, welcome. That was her way of giving permission. To what? To survive here. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. Not exactly the warmest welcome I've had, but I guess she didn't slap me into the next quadrant, so that's a win. The map flickered. One of the corridors dimmed. Passage closing, the AI whispered. Erin traced the dimming light with her fingers. You still have time to go, she said. I know. Another silence. I'm not good at the whole feelings thing, Elias admitted. I usually rely on inappropriate jokes and hoping people get tired of waiting for sincerity. Then it is fortunate I have patience caliber. There are uncharted systems, border conflicts, rogue sectors that reject the ceasefire. We could assist. So basically, start a small mercenary business. Or a diplomatic envoy. With occasional punching. Obviously. He smiled. I like the way you think. Then perhaps, she said, sitting back down, we should begin planning. Elias took his seat. First item on the agenda, we rename your tea. Unacceptable. Okay, second item. Establish a sarcasm training program for Virelian personnel. You would be a poor instructor. I prefer the term freestyle pedagogue. The lights flickered again. Attention, unauthorized piece detected. Please resume minor conflict or system will reboot. Erin raised an eyebrow. We could spar for tradition. He sighed. You just want an excuse to knock me on my ass. I require no excuse. They stood facing one another. Elias loosened his shoulders. At least let me stretch this time. She nodded, accepted. You may begin stretching before defeat. He grinned. You really are warming up to me. I have a high tolerance for foolishness. Good. You're gonna need it. The sound of their sparring, half contact, half laughter, echoed through the corridor. Outside the window, a fading corridor of light blinked once and disappeared. The diplomatic envoy ship Silver Accord was shaped like a stingray, except with more weapons and a worse sense of direction. Navigation recalibrated, said the ship's AI, sounding both smug and confused. Next time, try plotting a course before initiating warp. Elias adjusted the collar of his new uniform, which was somewhere between ambassadorial robes and tactical pajamas. Noted. But in my defense, I was distracted by our pilot nearly flying us into a moon. You gave me conflicting coordinates, Erin replied without looking up. One pointed to the trade station. The other said, and I quote, somewhere with good snacks. Both are valid diplomatic priorities. Snacks are not recognized under the Galactic Accord of 212K. They should be. The ship vibrated slightly as it docked with the orbital platform above Mevrai, a neutral world known for its aquatic markets, tense border politics, and suspiciously polite fish people. Mission objective. Deliver post-war reconciliation packet to Trisplice Congress, said the AI. Sub-objective. Avoid being eaten, insulted, or slimed. Elias grabbed the data slate and looked at Erin. Ready for round one of cosmic bureaucracy. I was born ready, literally. Our nursery rhymes include tax law. The airlock hissed open. A delegation of Mevrai representatives waited with moist enthusiasm and far too many tentacles. "Welcome, meat-based diplomats," said the central ambassador, gurgling through a translator bubble. "We have prepared the customary slime walk." Elias blinked. "That sounds ceremonial." "It is mandatory." "Of course it is." Aaron stepped forward confidently, already ankle-deep in celebratory goo. Elias followed, his boots making sounds that would haunt him forever. "Do we get towels after this?" "No," said the Mevrai, "you get honored." "Perfect." Hours later, after several rounds of diplomatic jargon, a heated debate over trade tariffs involving photon shrimp, and a mildly aggressive interpretive dance by the Mevrai youth choir, Elias and Aaron were finally alone in the observation lounge of the station. "That went well," he said, still wiping slime from his sleeves. "They only threatened us once," Aaron said. "Statistically, that's a success." Elias sat down, looking out over the planet below. "It's strange, you know, this whole thing. Us doing this. Strange but necessary. I meant you quoting tariff codes like a space accountant. I trained for years in interstellar diplomacy. Well, I spent years learning how to make a plasma grenade out of chewing gum and a stress ball, so we're both professionals." A pause stretched between them, but it wasn't empty. It was full of quiet understanding, the kind that only came from shared battlefields and post-war galas with over-enthusiastic aquatic species. Elias leaned back. "Do you ever think about it, the fight, what we did, what it cost?" "Yes," she said, "and I think about what comes after." "Which is?" She turned to him. "This missions, talks, partnership, evolution." He smirked. "Sounds like a boring sequel." "Only if we survive it." "Great, so we're diplomats and bait." Their laughter echoed softly, just enough to startle a passing maintenance drone, which hissed and retreated into the ventilation shaft. "You know," Elias said, "I didn't plan to stay. I thought I'd finish the mission, go home, maybe write a book with an overdramatic title like Shotguns and Stardust." Aaron raised an eyebrow. "Your autobiography." "I'd include a section on alien cuisine. Chapter 12, Why Everything Glows and Tries to Escape." "And what changed your mind?" He looked at her, a question and the person who asked it. A moment passed, neither heavy nor light. Then the comm buzzed. "Attention! Incoming priority transmission from Virelian High Council. Subject, Ambassadorial Protocol Breach." Elias groaned. "What did we do now?" Aaron tapped the console, patch it through. The screen flickered. The image of Chancellor Rahl appeared, stern, luminous, and visibly irritated. "Commander Zai, Lieutenant Hargreave, you violated Article 7.3 of the Virelian Earth Accord." Elias blinked. "Was that the one about no fraternization during mealtime?" "No, that was Article 4.2. You broke the one about jointly piloting a classified vessel without council approval." "We were in a hurry," Aaron said. "And hungry," Elias added. The Chancellor exhaled in a way that suggested centuries of disappointment. "You will return to the home chamber for review." The screen blinked off. "Well," Elias said, "that was warm and supportive." "She didn't mention exile," Aaron noted. "That's improvement." "I guess we're road tripping again." Aaron nodded. "To the home chamber, then, with full explanations and minimal sarcasm." "I'll try, no promises." The ship launched again, slicing through the dark with quiet purpose. Elias stared out at the stars. "Do you think they'll separate us?" "Only if they enjoy civil unrest." He smiled. "You're more rebellious than I gave you credit for." "I'm learning from the best." They sat in silence again, orbiting between duty and something far more complicated. The stars blinked around them. The questions still echoed between them, not unanswered, not forgotten, just evolving. The chamber doors opened with ceremonial overkill, humming crystal pylons, a shimmer field of sentient mist, and music that sounded like someone was strangling a harp with a violin. Elias leaned sideways. "I feel underdressed." "You're in full diplomatic uniform," Aaron said. Yes, but my sleeves aren't glowing. They are not supposed to glow. Then someone owes me an explanation for the burn I got putting this on. They stepped onto the central platform, surrounded by Virelian high counselors, all radiating that unique expression Elias had come to associate with high-ranking aliens. Dignified judgment layered with a faint hint of superiority and the constant suspicion that someone in the room was about to make a pun. Chancellor Rahl stood. Commander Zai, Lieutenant Commander Hargreave. Elias whispered, promotion. You forged the title in your last report. Still counts. The Chancellor continued. You disobeyed direct orders, violated vessel-sharing statutes, engaged in unsanctioned diplomacy, and bonded under the protocol of the Kyle-2 Stone without declaring your intent to the Council. Aaron spoke, yes. Yes to all of it, Elias added. Also, we brought gifts. He held up a small tin, Terran salted caramel. Best eaten slowly, or never depending on your metabolism. A long pause. The Chancellor blinked once. This council demands justification. Aaron stepped forward. We completed every assigned mission. We delivered the post-war packets. We negotiated the trade treaty with the Mevrai, even when they attempted to submerge us in a ceremonial tank of singing eels. We harmonized, Elias said, barely. We have operated as one unit, one directive, one purpose. And our results are measurable despite the Council's discomfort with our methods. Elias added, for the record, the plasma popcorn incident was not intentional. That remains to be proven. Still, it got their attention. The Chancellor sat back. You believe your personal bond improves diplomatic efficiency. I believe, Aaron said, it expands it. And you? Elias took a step closer, facing the rows of officials who once might have dismissed him as a war-hardened joke machine, with a talent for survival and an allergy to authority. I believed in walls between species, between missions and emotions. Then she handed me a question instead of a wall, and suddenly everything felt like it could grow instead of just hold. A hum ran through the chamber. Not of disapproval, not entirely. You challenge our tradition. Elias shrugged. Tradition's important, so is evolution. The silence that followed was heavy and full of calculation. Finally, Chancellor Rahl rose again. Then let evolution be tested. You will retain your status as joint ambassadors. You will represent both worlds on the incoming Council of Allied Systems. And you will submit regular psychological reports so we can determine the long-term impact of emotional entanglement. Elias gave a mock salute. Can we file those in emoji format? No. Worth a try. The council recessed. The platform dimmed. Later in the corridor leading to the outer platform, Aaron paused. You spoke well. I panicked halfway through and considered pretending to faint. Convincing performance. I practice in mirrors. She turned to him. You've changed. He nodded. Yeah, I used to think leaving was the cleanest way to keep from being left. Then someone stopped me in a hangar and asked me something impossible. And now, he smiled, now I'm figuring out the answer, one day at a time. They reached the viewport. Below them the fleet shimmered ships of Earth, of Virelia, of newly aligned worlds preparing for a fragile new age. What happens next? He asked. Aaron looked out. Meetings, more treaties. Probably a breakfast where someone tries to poison us with fermented squid pudding. And us. She held up the Kyle-2 stone, still glowing. We continue. He reached over and took her hand. A message pinged from Earth's Council. A request for immediate intervention in a dispute involving lunar zoning laws, a robot colony.